whenever we go to a temple, we notice that the pujari will do Aarati to the murti that is in the Garbhagudi of the temple. Typically, in the Garbhagudi, it's pretty dark, and the only light that will be there will be some, what we call Nanda Deepa, a small lamp that is being lit. And when you stand outside, you really cannot see the murti. And that is indicative also of what happens inside us. Like normally, God is within us, but we cannot see Him. It's like darkness for us. We don't see Him. And the question is, what does it take for us to actually get a glimpse, perhaps, of what is both outside in the Garbhagudi, that murti, and what is inside us? And what happens outside in one way is a reflection of what should happen inside, and vice versa. If that does not happen, then there's a disconnect between our action outside and what is happening inside, which should not happen. So what happens is that when the priest goes inside the Garbhagudi and takes that Aarati, right, the first question we have to ask ourselves, what is in that? Well, in the first place, there is something that has to hold that, what we refer to as bhakti, which is the wick, right? The wick has to be held. Another material that we use is karpura, which is camphor. Those are the two things that we use. So the karpura, as you know, the camphor, when you light it, it is a solid actually, but it very quickly burns, right? The bhakti, on the other hand, which is also a solid, but it's of a different nature. It can be soaked in something, right? So my spirit, the jiva, is something that is in its true form. If you can go all the way inside, that's Jnanananda Swarupa. That can light, that can burn too. But in reality, this mind and this body that I function through, that is going to put limitations on what happens. So when you take that bhakti, that wick, and you soak it in ghee, it is symbolic of actually taking this sharira, this physical body, and the mind that goes with it, and actually soaking it in pure bhakti. Because after all, we have explained this before in other videos, butter represents bhakti, and ghee is clarified butter, which means it is clarified nija bhakti. So when this sharira and the mind gets soaked in that nija bhakti, true bhakti, and someone has to light that lamp, the bhakti cannot light by itself. So similarly, a guru has to come and light this lamp inside, and every lamp is lit by one other lamp. And this light, this Jnana Jyoti, when you take that, the question is, they don't just show it to the murti and bring it back to you. You notice that what they do, there are two things that they do. One is they take that Jyoti, that Deepa, that light, which represents knowledge, by the way, and they take it around the murti 3 times in clockwise direction, right? And then what they do is they start at the feet, take it all the way up to the head, and bring it all the way back to the feet, and they bring it to you and give it to you. In another video, we explained why we take Aarti, why we take Tirtha, why we take Prasada, and so on. So I'm just focusing on the Aarti part here, and the action of what we do when we do Aarti, right? Now these 3 times that we do in a clockwise direction, right? The thing is that murti, actually that represents Vishnu, that represents Bhagavanta, is also in front of me. After all, Vishnu Sahasranama starts with Vishvam Vishnu Vashatkaraha. So Vishwa, Vishnu. So inside that Vishwa is Vishnu. So when you look at this universe, That whole universe is present in that thing, as Sri Krishna showed in his avatara when we did Vishwarupa Darshana. So in that entire Vishwa, he is there. Now, can I encircle all of that? No, nowhere. But when this Jyoti, this Jnana, is going around that thing, it is like Mother Yashoda seeing the entire universe in his mouth. Similarly, I may not be fortunate enough to get such experiences, but in my own tiny, tiny little way, I can also get a small, tiny glimpse of this Vishwa when that light is shown 3 times around that Murti. And the 3 times we do that because for me, everything is 3. My gunas are 3, Sat, Rajas, Tamas. I can be in one of 3 states. Either I'm awake, I'm in sleep mode, or I'm in dream mode. And any karma that I do is also one of 3 types: thought, action, and speech. So irrespective of what kind of karma is done, in whatever state, that past, present, and future, by the way. So all these three things. So when we do Aarti 3 times, the thing is that when it is viewed in this light of knowledge, perhaps I can get a little glimpse, very tiny, tiny glimpse of that Vishnu that is in this Vishwa. Secondly, the other action of taking it from the feet all the way up to the head and bringing it back down. If it is done properly, the priest will do that. And he always starts at the feet and takes it all the way up. To understand what's going on there, we really have to go to Purusha Sukta in the Vedas. So the feet represent those people in society, those of us who have this nature of service, of serving society, of serving other people, which we refer to as Shudra mentality. And all of us should have that concept of service in everything that we do. That's why they start at the feet, because your focus should be on service. But as we move up, the next thing we encounter is Uru, the central part, which represents that Vaishya Manovritti, which is that nature or mentality, if you will, of producing things for society. And as you go further up, Bahu, that represents strength, that Kshatriya nature, and there are those people in society who are strong, who take charge of protection of society, protection of the good, and so on. And then finally, it actually goes the last. It eventually goes towards the head, which represents Jnana and that Brahmana Manovritti. So this light in this Vishwa starts at the service part and goes all the way and looks at all the Vaishya Manovritti, Kshatriya Manovritti, and eventually that Jnana. But they don't take it away from there. They take it all the way down to indicate that no matter what you do, it should all end in service. At the end of the day, whether you're a Brahmana or Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra, whatever it may be, at the end of it all, it should actually end in that Shudra Manovritti, which is, it should be nothing but a service to God and service to society. So that energy, when it comes to me, when I take that is what I want in my mind, so that that energy from that knowledge that I get, that affects my, not just the mind, but entire mental layer, what we refer to as Manomaya Kosha, that entire layer, my intellect, my mind, everything should be submerged, immersed and submerged in that knowledge and that energy. That is why we do Aarati 3 times and take it up and down. In a temple, at home, everywhere we do this, and that is the thought behind that action.